What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. All right, my friends, thank you very much for joining me here for this, Midday Monologue Monday. And also thank you everyone that's been subscribing to Two Gun Pixie on YouTube, as well as everyone that's been checking out Two Gun Pixie on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Very cool. Thank you so much for checking us out. We also have a Zazzle store with some merch, so please go check out the Two Gun Pixie Zazzle store. Maybe there'll be a nerdy or RPG inspired item that you like. But anyway, let's get down to business, everyone. We are here for this Midday Monologue Monday indeed. And what I want to talk about today, pew, 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 pew. What I want to talk about is video games. Ooh, on a board game channel. Well, the reason I want to talk about this is because there's been a few video games, classic 80s style video games that have been turned into board games. Now, let me tell you, I know the 80s arcades all too well. In the 70s and 80s, that's pretty much where I was. If I wasn't gaming, if I wasn't RPGing or playing Dark Tower or Hero Quest, I was at an arcade. Most of the games I kind of sucked at, but they were so addictive. They were so awesome to play. And the few that I did do good in, all that much better. But like I said, there seems to be a few classic arcade video games that have been turned into board games. I would like to take a look at some other ones. What other classic, like 80s style video game would make a good, interesting, and fun board game? That's what I want to delve into. That's what I want to explore here, you and me. I'll give you some of my ideas, and I'm sure hoping that you'll give me some of yours. So why don't you meet me down the table, and we'll talk about arcade games turned board games.
Rolling Thunder by Namco, 1986. In this game, you played Albatross, agent of WCPO, World Crime Police Organization. And you had to save Agent Leela Blitz from the clutches of the evil secret society, Geldra, and its hideout in New York. This was a really fun game. It was kind of fast-paced. And I see this translating, this dual-level side-scrolling game. I see this translating into a long trifold board, you know? And the board is going to have two sides on it, double-sided, and they're going to depict different depictions of where the doors are. And maybe the first one would depict the classic hallway scene, while the other maybe the garage, the tires, the mountains of tires. Now, also, each side of the board is going to be in half itself, and it's going to show the bottom, the hallway, as well as the upper walkway level. Now, along each of these is going to be doorways, and each door is going to be a set of cards, a stack of cards that is going to have the possibility of what enemies could be coming out of those doors as you're going through that section of the board. Sometimes maskers come out that will punch, some that will shoot, some that will throw grenades. Also, there'll be things such as the boxes that are able to protect you. You can duck behind in case someone is trying to shoot at you. Some of the doors are going to be the weapon upgrade doors, where you can either get more ammunition for a weapon that you have, or upgrade from the pistol to the fully automatic weapon. I was thinking that combat would be resolved by resource use. The number of bullets that you were going to use, plus any action cards that you can play that will get you advantages, such as maybe an action card that will allow you a one-kill shot, while another one might allow you to shoot someone before they act coming out of a door. Surprise attack. Now, besides the door cards, I'm also thinking that each section of the board itself is going to have its own encounter deck. And this is going to be representing the different enemies that are going to be coming down the hallway and not just the ones coming out the door. Maybe there'll be ninjas or the mutant bats from the video games, panthers, the lava men. And this way you're mixing up the different types of villains and how they are encountering you during the game. Now, these doors, the door cards, you can go in them also. Some of the door cards will have blanks, sort of empty doors in them, but they're not going to last empty for very long, because the next card coming up may very well be maybe a masker coming out with a grenade. But you do get the chance to try to hide in these doors by flipping over a card. If it's an enemy, you have an automatic encounter, and if it's a blank one, you get a full defense bonus. And eventually, the end of the last section of the board, you're going to have to fight the end boss himself, Mabu, in order to save Agent Leela Blitz. I think this could be a kind of fun board game. Especially, I think all of these that I'm talking about today, I think are going to be best represented as solo games. Now this, however, I was thinking of maybe of an expansion pack that could come with it. Maybe if this was kickstarted, you know, it could have an expansion pack option of Mabu's Revenge, and in that it's a 2-player game where Agents Albatross and Leela get to team up. Spy Hunter. Bally Midway 1983. This is originally supposed to be a James Bond game, but something happened with the licensing for it, and that fell through. Thank goodness they continued forth with the game. This game, you are a spy. Well, you're controlling a spy's car. You never actually see who the character is, which I always thought was really cool, because you could imagine it anything you wanted. It was you, or it was someone you wanted it to be. That was a really cool aspect of the game, just seeing the car. Now, this was an upward-scrolling bird's-eye view, the way the game was set up. You had to escape and destroy cars, enemy vehicles, including bomb-dropping helicopters that were chasing you as you were racing down the highway. Now, there's also civilian cars were in the video game, and you had to avoid blasting them up. And the penalty was that you would no longer gain score. Your points would freeze for a certain amount of time if you blew up a civilian car. Another cool thing about this was they had this upgrade truck that in different segments of the board you could summon it and it would show up, and if you could time getting in it, you get a cool weapon upgrade. So all these things made the game really, really cool. So as a board game, I see it as like a tile-laying board game, but not just the regular square tiles. I see 5 or maybe 6 long tiles, and they would be representing the road. And after the 5th or 6th, maybe 5th tile, there would be the branch in the road. And maybe it wouldn't matter which branch that you take, but what would matter is that it is important that this is where you would reset it on the board so it doesn't grow so incredibly long, and it represents another level maybe of more difficult enemies that you would be facing. Now, because there's cars involved, I think it would be ultra cool if they had car miniatures. If they had a little miniature for your spy car, miniature for the enemy cars, maybe even the helicopter. You know, put it on one of those clear plastic stands so it looks like it's really flying above the board. That would look so epic. I kind of see the way this game would work, since you're dealing with cars that are in continuous motion, a high-speed motion at that there would be like an acceleration, deceleration type of movement involved in the game. And at the end of each turn, the vehicle that had the highest acceleration gets to go first on the next turn. I think that would work out as a nice little balance to this continuous speed. I could see the game using enemy cards, an enemy deck, so you would be drawing from this as new enemies would be coming up. What are you going to be facing? Is it going to be a bulletproof car? Is it going to be a machine gun car? Is the helicopter coming out? Well, you would know by drawing these cards, and the stats for them would be right there, would be right on the cards themselves, so you know how many hits you got to do to each one, or which weapon works better. Maybe your machine guns work better. Maybe your missile works better. And the cards will tell you. Now, I'm also thinking that maybe in the original video game of Spy Hunter, there was no end. There was no end whatsoever. You just continued going until your skill ran out, or your luck ran out, however you want to look at it. Being a board game, that's not very conducive. So we would have to put an end to it. So there would be maybe a level boss every 3 sort of piles of the tiles, every 3 that you go through, you would have to, you would eventually come to the end of the game and you would fight the level boss. Now, another cool aspect of this game was that there were certain parts of the game where you could actually go off the road down to the riverbank and go into this building, and you would transform into a boat, a speedboat, a spy speedboat, and likewise the enemies would too. Now, this could be part of the base game, or this could be a very cool expansion for it. This is what I see. I see the expansion, delving into other things that were done in the game, and that's a major part of it. Maybe also delving into some of the things that were brought into the game with Spy Hunter 2 would make really good expansions, adding new vehicles, new tiles to the game. Because the other thing is the tiles, whether it's for the water or for the road, the tiles would have these little pitfalls and traps on them every now and then. So besides trying to avoid the cars, taking damage from them, you're also going to have to avoid these pit traps. And like the helicopter, when it drops bombs, if it misses you, it's going to cause a big crater. So there's also going to be these instances where there's going to be new aspects on the board besides the one that are already printed on them as you're pulling them out of the tile. Like, oh, somebody left a landmine or something like that. Well, now you can place a token to represent the crater that the bomb caused. I think Spy Hunter would be really cool. Elevator Action by Taito from 1983. This mashup platform shooter game, I think, would be an excellently fun addition to board gaming. In this, you played Agent 17, codenamed Otto, and you would zip line into the roof of a 30-story building at the very beginning of the game. So cool. Now from there you had to take the elevator down. The basics of the game was there were certain red doors you had to go into to get the documents or whatever it was that you were stealing that you needed to get. And eventually then get down to the basement level to get into your car and escape. Now meanwhile, enemy spies are coming out of every other door in this place. And you have to maneuver through the elevator shifting positions on different floors. Sometimes you have to maneuver into escalators. And it made it really fun because you never knew when one of these enemy guys was going to pop out of a door. This could be translated, I think, really, really well into a board game. I think it could be done with a series of cards, door decks. The blue door decks, which would be the enemy spy decks, and then peppered through certain levels, you would have a number of red doors. Maybe the difficulty of the game or the length of the game could be dictated by how many red doors that you put out for the game. Now, much like Rolling Thunder I mentioned earlier, because of these door cards, I see a similar thing where, because in the video game you could go into these doors for protection as the bullets were flying towards you. And sometimes an enemy spy was coming out. So it had that same sort of factor. So I see this using the same idea that certain cards in each door deck are blank cards or empty room cards. So you'll be able to turn the card over and, oh boy, you can go in. And if not, there's someone else shooting at you and you have to try to deal with that new spy. I also see using cards for the enemy cards and having a deck of action cards as well. So as they're coming out of the door, you flip the door over and it'll give you a little information on the spy. Now in the video game, the spies were all the very same generic, one shot, boom, they're dead. And then again, you could only take one shot too, from what I remember. But maybe make a couple of different types of spies, maybe 3 different types of spies that could possibly come out of the door, just to add a little something new to the board game. And then the action cards would be things that you could do in the video game, like there was these hanging lights in the hallway, and there was like 2 things you could do. If you jumped up and you got the right angle, you could shoot the light out, and it would put everything in the whole building in dark for a while. Or if you shot above the light bulb, you could actually hit the wire holding the lamp, and you could try to time it to shoot that and have it crash down on an enemy spy's head. That'd be really cool, and I could see that simulated in the card deck, you know, so you would have that as an action card, shoot out light, or light as weapon, however you want to phrase it, shoot light down. And if the enemy spy is in the same section of that board underneath the light, then he would be hit by it and he's out. You know, maybe doing something like each turn you have 3 actions. You can do, you can either move, you can open the door, or you could shoot. And you could do, you know, you could either do 3 moves and nothing else, or 2 moves and an open door, 2 open doors and a shoot. You get the idea. I think that would probably be the easiest way to work that out for the movement of the game. Now, in the video game, there was 30 floors, so I don't know. Maybe that might be a little much for the board game version of it. That might make it a little bit slower, since things aren't happening automatically like they are in a video game. You're drawing cards, so maybe you want to shorten that up. Maybe cut that in half, and maybe you make the difficulty level every 5 levels. You know, every 5 levels, it's a new level of the game, and each one of those levels has like 5 floors in it. That's a little bit more than half, but you know, there's definitely a way we could cut that down. Or maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe 30 levels. But that sounds like an awful lot of cards on the deck, on the table. You know, it might also be fun to have you have meeples moving around. So you have these deck of doors, and you have the elevators and the escalators, and actually move the meeples. Probably the best way to represent where they are on each turn, how far away they are from you. It's also in the video game, the bullets went kind of slow, and you think, oh my god, these bullets are so slow, how could you ever get hit by them? But you could mess things up. Maybe you were in the elevator and you were switching the elevator from up to down, and you timed it wrong, you timed your jump wrong. Maybe there were 2 bullets back to back and you couldn't double jump fast enough. Trust me, even though the bullets were slow, they still got you. So maybe where the meeples are on the different tiles, different doors, how far away they are from you might be how long you have to react till you get shot. Like if he's 2 away from you, you have 2 movement before the bullet hits you. So you could move twice. I don't know, maybe something like that. But, so, check that out. Rolling Thunder, Spy Hunter, Elevator Action. Great 80s arcade games. These games collected more coin than most others, I think. And you'd have 3 new solo games on the market, 3 new spy genre games. You don't really see a lot of spy genre games that are solo. So those are my ideas. If you had a chance to turn your favorite old school video game into a board game, what would it be? Let us know. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming. And my friends, I am out of here.